When trying to boost performance as much as they can, many athletes turn to illegal performance-enhancing drugs which have a plethora of negative side effects. EPO, human growth hormone, testosterone are just some of the many banned substances out there that athletes take. Yet did you know that there are a host of performance-enhancing drugs and supplements that are allowed by the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA? This video aims to highlight some of the more commonly used supplements in athletics. And just before we start, I am not a medical professional, so please don't take medical advice based off this video. The first supplement taken is something called BetaAlanine, which is a naturally produced amino acid in your body. It's one of two components of a substance called carnosine found in the muscles, which has been linked to an increased endurance performance. When taken directly as a supplement, carnosine is often digested by the body before it can reach the muscles and have any positive effect, so people take beta-alanine to boost the production of carnosine in the muscles. Typical dosages would be 4 to 6 grams daily over a period of a few weeks. One study found that this increased carnosine levels by 40 to 60% in 4 weeks. It even saw a noticeable rise in carnosine concentrations after a mere 2 weeks of supplementation. The way carnosine increases performance is debated. One theory is that it lowers muscle acidity during high intensity exercise and thus improves muscular endurance. This makes sense given that beta-alanine is mostly used by elite middle distance runners who would be running no longer than 4 minutes in their races, and most of the time much less. More research needs to be done about beta-alanine's effects in longer bouts of exercise, as most studies focus on short-term performance. For the most part, the supplement has little side effects, with the only notable one being tingling in the body, especially with larger doses. This can be a weird feeling for some people, and it would take some getting used to if you were to try it. However, beta-alanine is now used in many supplements and protein powders. I'm not trying to use this as evidence for it being a beneficial supplement, as supplement companies are known for putting a bunch of fancy-sounding substances in their powders which have little to no effect on performance. You see this a lot with many products being marketed as sports drinks or sports powders, but just being another soft drink that has no notable impact on recovery or performance. However, products containing beta-alanine would not be allowed on the market if the consumption of it in moderation was unsafe. And as we have reasonable evidence that it is safe and effective, it's a common pre-race supplement for elite athletes. The second supplement is L-carnitine, which your body uses naturally to transform fatty acids to the mitochondria for energy production. The supplement has been shrouded in controversy, with running coach Alberto Salazar using it in banned quantities on his athletes. Mo Farah and Galen Rupp were among Salazar's athletes, yet they never were officially caught with banned levels of L-carnitine. Mo Farah was questioned about his use of L-carnitine, which he took intravenously, directly through the veins, before the 2014 London Marathon. Whilst WADA does not ban the supplement outright, intravenous doses in excess of 50 milliliters are banned. L-carnitine has been linked with improved performance in cyclists and lowering rates of perceived exertion in runners during intense exercise. The same study looked at L-carnitine's effect from moderate intensity exercise, but found no real improvement in performance. Naturally, side effects currently documented are minimal, but mild heartburn and indigestion have been reported. Daily dosages of up to 2 grams of L-carnitine have been marked as safe. Now we have some of the more interesting everyday supplements that athletes use, such as bicarbonate of soda. Yes, that powder you put into your cakes has also been linked with increasing muscular endurance, and it's a common supplement before a race for middle distance runners. It works similarly to beta-alanine due to its slight alkaline nature, which helps offset the buildup in acidity in the muscles caused by anaerobic exercise. Because middle distance runners use their anaerobic systems a lot in races, it works well at improving their speed endurance, but it may not be very useful for people running marathons or 5 to 10Ks, as the overwhelming majority of the race will be using your aerobic system, and your muscles will build up acidity much slower. Whilst bicarbonate of soda is perfectly safe, you still need to be careful about the dosage, as too much can make you feel nauseous or throw up. Taking 0.3 grams per kilogram 1 to 3 hours before a race is a nice guideline, though it would be advised that you test the dosage yourself before in training so you can minimize the risk of side effects. Now we can move on to probably the most common, well-studied and well-known supplement athletes take before races: caffeine. Caffeine is probably the most effective drug on this list, yet it's easy to get wrong when athletes first use it as a supplement. You probably know that caffeine is linked with increased alertness due to it restricting the production of adenosine, a hormone that makes you feel tired. This is part of the reason that athletes take it, as it can help you to mentally lock in after a lack of sleep or get the adrenaline pumping for a hard race or training session. As someone who takes it before races, I really notice how my anxiety gets transformed into excitement, and I really feel fired up after shotting some coffee in the hour before a race. What you may have not known is that caffeine's benefits are beyond mental, and they actually have solid links with increasing physical performance. I'd argue the most solid of all the supplements on this list. A meta-analysis on studies looking at the effect of caffeine on performance found that it had a small but evident effect, with similar analysis claiming that it boosts performance by 2 to 7% depending on the individual. Caffeine was actually banned by WADA pre-competition until 2004, but it is now allowed according to their 2023 list. Caffeine, however, is still monitored to see if there are any ways that athletes can manipulate it negatively. One thing to note with caffeine is that whilst generally safe, doses of over 1 gram can be highly damaging and even lethal, causing issues such as heart palpitations, restlessness, and insomnia. Most of the studies that I saw didn't exceed 400 grams of caffeine before the race. Another thing when taking it yourself before a session or a race is that it has been linked with some pervasive side effects, namely shitting yourself. I remember last year before my first race of the season, I was experimenting with caffeine use in training. I took 2 double espresso shots before a hill session. Bear in mind I'd never really taken caffeine before. Yeah, let's just say I had to cut that session short and go home early. It was not fun. Another thing to consider is that you've likely heard that caffeine is something your body gets desensitized to over time, which reduces the physical benefits it can have. This is part of the reason I only take it in the build-up and on the day of the race when I need it, so it really hits me hard. As a side point as well, I also don't like the idea of relying on it to get me through training and just day-to-day life. Plus, if taken after midday in large doses, it can impact sleep, which reduces recovery between sessions. And finally, the last supplement we will focus on is beetroot juice, which has surprisingly been linked with, you guessed it, increased endurance performance. Beetroot juice is very high in nitric oxide, which is a specific molecule that boosts performance. It's not the beetroots themselves that are the performance boosters, but the nitrates within them. Nitrates are the main thing you want to be consuming, and nitrate supplements do exist, but beet juice is just a natural way of consuming them if you're against pill-based supplements. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology in 2013 found that runners who took a beetroot juice shot before their race cut 1.5% off of their 5km race time. You also don't need to load early on like with some of the other supplements mentioned. 5 to 7 days should be perfectly fine for beetroot juice loading. What a sentence, eh? The effects seem to be especially magnified in non-elite runners, with elite runners experiencing less noticeable changes. This does seem to check out, as I've heard very little about pros taking beetroot juice in the build-up to a race, whilst the other supplements are sometimes talked about within podcasts and that sort of thing.
I mean, can you imagine if the 2-hour marathon world record was finally broken because Eliud Kipchoge started drinking beetroot juice?
You do need to consume a fair amount of beetroot juice to see many benefits, even as an amateur runner. According to this article on Training Peaks, 300 to 600 milliliters shows a boost in performance, with higher quantities yielding better results. However, that is a lot of juice, and you may want to consider that most people think beetroot juice tastes disgusting. You can find some mixes with apple juice though to smooth the flavour out. In terms of side effects, there of course are very little. The only noticeable one would be turning your urine purple, but this is just a cosmetic thing and it's not actually bad for your health. But thank you very much for watching the video. I hope this gave you an idea of how endurance athletes kind of add those 1% in order to get the most out of their races, and also maybe enlighten you that there are some genuine performance enhancing drugs that aren't banned by WADA. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy training.